You go take your break.
I grabbed my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. Stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a very, very good morning to you out there. If you are in South Florida this morning, it doesn't feel like South Florida. It feels more like up north. Out there this morning at about, oh my goodness, my dog woke me up at around 3 o'clock in the morning, decided he had to go out for some reason. I got out there, and all he wanted to do is play around. I guess he likes the cold. He's a Siberian Husky, so I guess he likes the cold because he went out there and just wanted to play around. Me, in the meantime, I'm half asleep, so dragged my behind back in and went to sleep and had to wake up again at 6:30 and prepare for the show. And, of course, he wants to go back out and play around again. So it's been a real it's been a real challenge this morning. Very cool morning for here in South Florida. And an unusual, pleasant surprise. I actually was cold enough to see my breath this morning. That's a new one for me. And we will have a whole lineup of people coming on today. Robert Warner, who is one of my regulars. Robert is with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. Mike Lindell. Mike is with the King of the Glades tournament. He's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on in the freshwater area. Captain Ron is with the Skeeter Beater. He's going to tell us a little bit about the Skeeter Beater. The one thing I like about the Skeeter Beater is that it's non-toxic, and he'll tell us a little bit about that. I have a new guest coming on. His name is Bruce Marks. Bruce is someone who is trying to face the challenge of GPS units being stolen out of boats. You know, we've talked many times. I've had Carolyn with Atlas Tracks on. And we've spoken many times the value of having something like Atlas Tracks, because somebody takes off with one of your belongings, you can find it very, very quickly. And Atlas Tracks will track it, I think, if I'm not mistaken, up to about 10 feet away from the object itself. I had no idea the GPS units. I'm telling you guys, I enjoy doing this show because I'm always learning. I had no idea the GPS units could run as much as $10,000 and up. That just shocked me. So Bruce is going to come on. He's going to tell us a little bit about what he's experienced and what he's hoping to do. We would like to see the manufacturers help. There's a couple of things that they could do, very simple, straightforward things they could do to stop this. And we want to catch their attention. And, it serves them as well, because whoever decides to make the first step in, whether it's a password-related thing or a GPS that has a GPS locator built inside of it, whatever that might be, they're going to have the benefit of being the first, and I believe that they will attract more sales. So we'll talk more at length about that a little later in the show. And then finally we'll have Ken Coe. Ken is with Southern Pride Gourmet Foods. Thought it might be nice to have Ken on just prior to Christmas. For those of you who have had enough turkey, you might want some fish over the weekend. Who knows? You might go do some fishing today. It's awful cool out there. I haven't looked at the radar yet, but it's awful cool out there this morning. So anyway, get Ken Coe. He is with Southern Pride Gourmet Foods. He has a variety of different things that you can use for your cooking. We talk about fishing and catching the fish. We don't often talk about, well, what do you do now that you caught the fish, you cleaned it? How are you going to cook it? You want to cook it on the barbecue? You want to cook it on the stove? You want to, how are you going to take care of that? So Ken is going to give us a couple of hints on that as well. And I should have Pam Worth with me here in just a few moments. Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida. It's always a pleasure to have her on. She brings a unique perspective to the Fish Florida show, and I'm always grateful for her. Are you there, Pam?
Yes, I am. I'm right here, and thank you for the introduction.
Look there. Well, good morning, Miss Pam, and tell me a little bit, is it cold over there?
It excuse my French, it is freaking cold. It is 42 degrees when I woke up, and that is way too cold for me.
Those are curse words to Floridians.
Yeah, my daughter just came in from Chicago yesterday, and she loves it. She just thinks it's wonderful. And I'm like, she's laughing. She's like wearing a shirt and some slacks, and I've got like a sweater on, the shirt under the sweater. I'm pulling out my ski jacket.
Okay, so if you want a good laugh, let me tell you, my dog woke me up at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, wanted to go outside. And I knew it was cold out there. And I don't like to be cold at all. I'm not a cold kind of, otherwise I'd be living in Colorado, because Colorado is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. But I just couldn't deal with the cold. So he wants to go out. It's like 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. I'm going, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. And he's acting like, Dad, you don't take me out now? There's going to be a big mess. I'm telling you, you better take me out now. So I take him out. Well, before I take him out, I decide I'm not going to be cold. So I put on 2 pairs of sweatpants. I put on 3 T-shirts and a hoodie, and I take him out. And when I get him out, what does he want to do? He wants to romp around. I like the cold. I want to jump around. You kidding me? You woke my behind up to do this? He didn't want to go to the bathroom. He just wanted to play.
It's sled dog. Let's go, Dad.
He just wanted to play. So I decided, well, if you're going to wake me up and I have to go outside and it's cold, I refuse to be cold out there while I'm out there with you. So I dressed you would have thought, if you'd have seen me dress, you'd have thought I was getting ready to go into the tundra.
Is your backyard fenced in?
No, unfortunately, my backyard is not fenced in, and so when I take him somewhere, there's a dog park down the street that I take him, and I turn him loose there, but it's a little too far to walk. I have to put him in the car, and I wasn't going to do that at 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. I could see trying to explain to the officer why I'm out there in the dog park at that time of the morning. That would be good.
with 3 layers of clothes on.
Oh my goodness! But I wasn't cold. I tell you what, I learned that trick when I was in Colorado. I was in the Air Force at the time, and they had sent me to Colorado for training, technical training. And while I was there, of course, it snows in Colorado all the time. Jiminy, it snowed at the beginning of summer, and at the beginning of June, it was snow flurrying. So this one particular day, I walked to the post office that was on base. I picked up my mail, and I'm walking back. And when I walked to the post office, it was a cool day. It was like maybe in upper 60s, 65, 68, somewhere in there. So it wasn't really anywhere near snow temperature. Walked to the post office, which was on base, which probably took me about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Was in there for a few minutes, read a couple of letters, walked out, not paying attention to my surroundings. I'm reading this letter, so I'm walking down. And all of a sudden, I get this, like, shivers all over me. What the hey? What is that? I look around, and it's really starting to get cold quick. What I noticed about Denver, which is where I was at, it's at the basin of all of these mountains that are all around it. And like here in Florida, it can be sun shining, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, you think the world is coming to an end. Well, in Colorado, that particular day, it wasn't cold. It was, brisk, but it wasn't cold. That day, the weather changed like it changed here in Florida. It went from 65, 68 degrees down to a little under 30, and it started snow flurrying. I'm walking, and this is in a matter of a half an hour, 45 minutes at the most.
Oh, my.
And I'm walking to the base, to my barracks on base, and I am freezing, like just there's no way. So I get to the barracks, and my training instructor says to me, you need to learn how to layer your clothing. I had never heard of that before. I come from Florida. We don't layer clothing. We don't layer clothing in Florida. Not that I've ever heard of anyway. So I learned a valuable lesson. I began to layer my clothing, and I remembered that this morning when my little buddy here wanted to take him out so early in the morning. I layered my clothing, and it did make a difference. Two T-shirts and a hoodie, and 2 pairs of pants, and some shoes, and I was comfortable. I wasn't freezing my behind off, which I was worried about. So remember
the
layering.
Nice thing is, I was going to say, at least the nice thing is the wind is laid down.
Yes.
For us, at least. It's been coming out of the west with coming in strong, 20, 25 knots, and then also gales up to 50, 60 miles an hour. They shut down the Skyway. But at least today, we had some coastal flooding. At least today it's laid down. I'm thinking about maybe fishing after the show.
Wow.
Like 10 miles an hour out of the east-northeast. So that gives me a little bit of cover from the wind.
Well, for those of you who may not know, Payman's on the West Coast, I am on the East Coast, and this morning's radar indicates that we have under 5 mile an hour winds. There is absolutely nothing. It's showing nothing with regard to any storms or any cloud activity out there that might produce a problem. If the wind's less than 5 miles an hour, the seas are going to be like a puddle out there, just like a huge puddle. It'll be like just as glass. Those are the kind of days I love to be out there. It is so calm and so serene, so relaxing. So I hope you get to go out there today. I hope you enjoy it. It looks like it's going to be beautiful. I'm looking at the live radar, and there is nothing. It's showing absolutely nothing anywhere. So it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous, clear day, a cool day. But, that's some of the days that we wait for here in South Florida. It's not so doggone hot. You can still get out there and do a lot of stuff. You can still enjoy going fishing. Pam's threatening to go out there and bring up a couple of them. So, that doesn't stop her. It shouldn't stop you. Go out there and enjoy yourself. It's going to be a gorgeous day today.
Yeah, I'm going to be in your area in a couple weeks. We've got the kayak sailfish tournament coming up the middle of January, 13th of January.
So will you be doing the show from here?
No, it's a 2-day tournament. It's so I could probably do a call-in. It's Saturday and Sunday out on the water.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. I mean, I can keep talking to you as long as I don't land a sail. Second a sail comes on, it's like, I got to go.
Oh, Lord. Well, let me see. I think we have the one and only Robert Warner with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. Robert, are you there?
I am. Good morning.
Good
and,
morning.
And Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas
Merry
to you.
Christmas.
We have been working on the magazine, and Pam's got a great article in there.
Hey! Yay!
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Magazine
I
will be
was nervous.
out Monday night, just Christmas Eve. So I will make sure you guys all get a copy of it, and it will be out there for everyone. But actually, you were lucky because Lou Sibley, our editor, Lindsay, she did yours.
Is that good or bad?
Article, Pam. That's a good thing. She's an actual writer and does this stuff. I just sort of play with it. So, but she did yours. I did all the ice fishing stuff. So I've now learned all about ice fishing.
We had Jeff
been an
on.
Interesting article.
We had Jeff on a while back with Fish 307. Jeff, can't think of his last name right, Gold something. And he was telling us about ice fishing. He had just formed ice up there, and he was getting ready to go ice fishing. And he really surprised me with some of the fish that he said they could pull out through these through a hole in the ice.
It's amazing what they can pull through the ice. As a matter of fact, you'll see a video in there of somebody trying to pull a fish that was too big for the opening. And the ice was so clear they could actually see the fish, and they're all screaming in there, no, don't, you're going to break him off, you're going to break him off. But, yes, I've learned a lot about ice fishing, and I want to thank everybody from Wisconsin and Minnesota and Canada that sent me stuff, and all the kayakers and Pam, and it's going to be a great article.
And
as you mentioned, the seas have been a bit off the last couple of days. I talked to our friends down in Key Largo where they had 15 to 18 foot seas the other day.
Goodness.
So fishing's been out of the question for a couple of days. But yeah, there is no wind today at all. I'm sure that they are all out there because these cold fronts push in. This is almost the end of grouper season, and this will have pushed them in a lot closer. So,
wow, 15-foot seas.
15 to 18.
Lord
actually,
have mercy.
Yeah. In the Gulf Stream, it was bad.
Wow, that's amazing. I was out there.
Yeah, Jack Carlson, who has a great sense of humor from Two Conchs Charters and Marathon, put an ad, and it showed the storm line coming down, and it showed the weather report and 15 to 18 foot seas, and he put charters available. No doubt.
Barf bags included, right? Barf bags included.
Yeah, very much.
Wow.
But Pam's going to be in that sailfish tournament. The Pelican Sailfish Tournament is coming up here locally, also in January. And, this is sailfish time, and this is the weather for it. They love this cold weather.
And it is absolutely clear, just as clear as you can be out here.
It is.
I'm getting excited.
I looked at the radar this morning when I woke up, and it was not a blip on the radar anywhere. So.
Go ahead, Pam.
Well, I was going to say, I hope the weather holds up, because today is the kind of day I need around the 13th. You know, where it's calm, it's easy to launch, because around the Hillsborough Inlet can get kind of
it's
funky.
nasty. I know that inlet well.
Yeah, so just keep your ears open. We're not going to talk over the radio, but keep your ears over on where those sailfish are hitting come the middle of January.
I will do that. I will
my.
do that.
Well, for those of you who don't have, some of you might have friends who don't have a internet-ready phone, or they don't have a limited data plan. There's a couple of ways that you can reach us. Of course, you can find us on the fishfloridashow.com. You can listen to the live show there. You can also download the app. The app is free. You can listen to us live on the app. You can also actually, believe it or not, you can call in. If you have a phone that has unlimited time, you can call in 641-793-3043. And this morning, if you have a question or a comment, you can also call in the show. That number is 561-440-5174. 561.
Riscala,
Yeah. Go ahead.
send me all that information, with all those phone numbers you just said,
Okay.
so I can put something together for next week.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, the call-in line, if you want to call in, is 561-440-5174. And we'll be happy to take your questions or your comments. If you have a question and you don't feel like calling in, you just rather email us, you can do that. Actually, you can leave the question on the Facebook page. We have a Fish Florida Facebook page. Please go there and give us a like. It helps us remain relevant in the searches. And if you have a question, leave it there and we'll find an answer for it. We'll do our best to find an answer for you. I can't promise you. Some of the questions I've had, oh my goodness, where'd that come from? But we'll do our best to find you an answer. And we enjoy interacting with you out there on the other end of the microphone. We know that without people there to support us, we wouldn't really be anywhere. So thank you to those of you who listen to the show. Thank you for spreading the word. A lot of you, I've sent you personal texts asking to please share the new address, because I think that there's still a lot of people who don't realize we have a new home, we're at a new address. We're not at the old address anymore. And so I think that hopefully we'll be reaching more and more of those people, and we'll bring those people back to the table.
Did you fill out the change of address form?
So when are you getting back on the water, Robert?
As soon as this magazine is done. I expect to be out the day after Christmas, actually. So
There you go.
You know, a sobering...
I'm going to catch the last few days of grouper season, and I've been one of the things on my bucket list is a big black grouper, and I'm going to go find one.
Oh, my.
There you go.
A sobering thought that in one day it will be Christmas Eve 2018. How's that?
Well, and
Pretty cool,
roughly
huh?
in a week, and roughly in a week it'll be 2019.
2019. I have to remember to write 2019. It's, you know, it seems many years ago I met somebody who told me, Riscala, life is like a roll of toilet paper. I said, what are you talking about? Life is nothing like a roll of toilet paper. He said, yes, it is. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose.
And it is going quick for me.
There's a great analogy that I'll try not to repeat.
Love you, Robert.
Oh, Lord. Yes, the closer you get to the end, the faster that it goes. And it is just moving along for me, I'll tell you what.
It certainly is. Well, I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas. Thank you to everyone who sends stuff in. And it's been a great year, and 2019 is going to be even better. So.
And we always appreciate you, Robert. Thank you so much for being a regular, calling in, giving us the updates on what's going on out there with regard to different tournaments and whatever. And always a pleasure to have you on. And a very, very Merry Christmas to you and your family, my friend.
You guys too, and I'll see you in January there, Pam. I'm going to come down and see if I can't cover that tournament. So.
Oh, that'll be fun. My husband, though, can't come anymore. He's been a hex, and he knows it now. It seems like, no, it's either the worst weather or I flip or something always happens when he comes to,
well, maybe
watch
I'll just
me
call
fish.
in then.
No, you can come. You're not my husband.
You're not going to blame me for this.
No. But it's so funny. I mean, it's to the point where other people are talking about it. They're the ones like, you never do well when your husband's here. And I go, shut up.
Like I said, you're not going to blame me. I'll just call. So
No. Come on by. You'll be welcome. I have a question for you, though. People who want to send you articles, how do they do that, Robert?
they just send them to pages@flfishmag.com.
Pages at FL.
Pages
Fishmag.
at FLFishmag.com.
flfishmag.com.
Yep. And if you forget that, you can always look it up on our archives. You can always go to the Fish Florida Show. We have a link for him on the Fish Florida Show Facebook page. I don't think I have a link on the website page, but I do have a link on the Facebook page. And he comes out every month, and he uses contributors. So if you believe you have something that would be of value, you can contribute. This is a contributor-based magazine. People like Pam, we just mentioned Pam did her contribution. If you have something you want to share, send it to Robert, and he'll take a look at it. If it's worthy, you'll get put into the magazine.
And I encourage the men to not be so lazy. The women are kicking your butt here. I put out the same ad every month for everybody to send stuff in, and I think 95% of what I got this last month was from women. So, guys, you're lazy. Get off your butt and send some stuff in.
Well, Robert, thank you again. I greatly appreciate it. A very Merry Christmas to you, my friend. I'm looking forward to 2019 with you and doing even more than we've already done today. God bless you. Wish you a wonderful day.
You guys too. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Fishing in Florida. Fish Florida. Fishing in Florida.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
What happened to the good old days when people were loyal and we all had fun without drama? Where every Saturday morning at 4 a.m. Eastern, we invite you to join Encounters with the Neelys and discuss endless topics and throwbacks of the yesteryears, bringing back to you retro interactive radio to the fullest. And yes, you got it. It's Throwback Saturdays with your hosts, Dr. Darrell and Dr. Katie Neely, turning back the hands of the father time and bringing people back to a place of peace. So get down, get sassy, and get jiggy with us. Oh, just don't drink while you're listening, because we are not responsible for the damage that comes from spitting it out while you laugh. So join us on Encounters with the Neelys, exclusively on the LNM Radio Network.
Grace has some pretty stellar arms, like Serena Williams good, but her face is pretty disgusting.
Someone please tell him to go back into his closet and leave us alone.
Britney's face is so stupid and I hate her so much. It's like a scientist created her in a lab to annoy humanity and didn't even do that good of a job.
Megan reminds me of a troll doll that came to life intent on killing us with her stupidity.
Why is Grace's head so big? It definitely has nothing to do with how smart she is and probably everything to do with how bloated she is.
He's so funny! Just kidding. Who would find this disfigured flamingo funny?
Never post a selfie of yourself. You look so ugly.
The only reason you have so many views is because we think you're a freak and we can't look away.
Megan is the main reason that the world sucks so much.
I would rather get cancer than listen to another Trevor Moran song.
You are a mistake. You should have never been born.
Drown yourself in a shallow puddle, please.
Wow, I hope she's sterile.
These really stopped being funny a long time ago.
You're so much more than the things that people say about you.
Those people have no right to say cruel things to you to make themselves feel better.
It's okay that you sound different than everyone else.
That's what makes you so special.
We will not tolerate it.
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 Every day, people make me feel like I stand out simply because of the way that I look.
Every day, people make me feel small.
Every day, I face the cruel words of bullying.
And every day people tell me that I'm brave for enduring this humiliation.
But we're not the brave ones.
It's the ones that say no to the bullying.
The witnesses.
If we all join together, there's nothing that we can't do.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
When we see bullying online,
We will let the world know that we're going to take action with the I.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
Our actions will overpower cruel words.
I am a witness.
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 There is power in words.
But it's nothing compared to the power of the actions that we put behind our words.
Visit eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more.
I am a witness, and so are you.
I'm gonna stand by you.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We have ignition. Strap in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in and allowing us to share the fun with you this morning. We're coming to you from sunny South Florida, but even though with the sun out, it's not a Florida day for us typical Floridians. It is a little bit on the chilly side. I am on the southeast side of Florida, and my co-host, Pam Worth, she's on the west coast of Florida. I am showing about 50 some odd degrees here in Florida. Those are curse words to Floridians, by the way. And I don't know how cold it is over in Tampa. How cold is it over there, Miss Pam? Bear with me a minute. Let me, okay, go ahead.
Okay, anywhere between 36 and 45
Lord have
degrees.
mercy. Wow, you're really cursing up a storm this morning. My goodness. Well, it's
I'm under a couple bankies.
Yeah, I'll be doing the same thing. And so I'm going to have Mike Lindell on here. I believe he's online with us now. He is with the King of the Glades tournament, and he's going to give us a little bit of feedback about what's going on in his neck of the woods. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Riscala. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning, sir. Tell
What's
me a little bit
beautiful-
about the Glades tournament.
The King of the Glades, the series kicks off January 6th, actually in Clewiston on Lake Okeechobee, and it's a 6-tournament series. It goes between Okeechobee and then they come back down here in February to fish the Everglades. And we actually, even though we hide and stay inside in these cold fronts, the warming sides of the cold fronts after they pass through are some of the best fishing because these cold fronts trigger the spawn.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so right now, like for example, at Everglades Holiday Park, out in the Everglades, out in the marsh accesses, out in the shallow waters, the fish have moved back, and the big females are back there spawning, and these cold fronts and full moons trigger the spawn, and then on the warming side, you could go back there and have a great day of fishing.
Wow. And
That's terrific.
What are you doing to catch these fish? What are you using?
When you catch spawning fish in the Everglades, we go back there and we actually swim across the top. For example, Gambler Big Easies, Zoom Magnum Lizards, any kind of stick worms, but mainly swim across the top. And you normally don't see the bass on the bed. Usually you make a long cast and they just blow up on it. And then when you get to the area where they bit, you see the bed there because the water's so shallow back there that if you were actually on top of them, you'd spook them away. So you pretty much just making a bunch of long casts. You try to move around back there. Also swim jigs and stuff like that in the deeper holes back there because the average water depth back in the flats in the swamp right now are between 1 and 2 feet, but you're looking for those 3 to 5 foot deep holes with the harder bottom. That's where they like to spawn.
Wow. Go ahead, Pam.
No, I was just going to ask how you're rigging those. Are you kind of rigging them weedless?
Yes, we rig them Texas rigged with a small screw-in weight on the front, and we're using 50-pound braided line, and you're just moving around a lot and casting a lot, making long casts, and just burning it across the top. And they don't like anything approaching or near their bed, so when they see your bait come burning across, they automatically go into kill mode and try to kill it to get it away from their bed. And they're, I hate to say it, they're pretty much, if you're in the right area, they're pretty much easy to catch. But there's so much marsh back there, so there's thousands of square miles of marsh, so it doesn't really affect. It's not like we're pulling fish off every bed and messing up the spawn. They still drop their eggs after they're caught.
Wow.
Right. And the good thing about your tournament is you'll cull those bass, bring them in, weigh them, and then release them. Is that correct?
Yes. We release all the fish, and even on Okeechobee last week, there was a small cold front that came through last week on Okeechobee, and a couple waves of fish came from offshore into the shallows, and there was actually some big fish caught during the week, 7-8 pounders that came in to spawn,
wow.
to start looking for their bed. So it's going to be a fun year, because the series actually launches during the spawn, and then of course, around March and April on the post-spawn bite, once they pull off the beds and the shallows and the water drops, especially down here in the glades, they go deep into canals, and all of a sudden, once that water temperature hits 70, it's pretty much you could go up the canal and throw bubble gum and catch a fish.
So it's just kind of challenging. An angler fishing a series is going to have a number of different skills with them on how to fish these different types of year.
Yes, actually, one of the best. We had one of the best teams. I was actually kind of surprised he did really well down here, but Donnie Bass and Dave Anderson won the points championship 2 years ago. They never finished out of the top 10, and they kind of dominated the trail, but they adjusted beautifully. They went from the casting bite for the spawn into the pitching, the pitching the jigs and throwing the big worms and stuff for the post spawn bite, and they adjusted really well and did really well in the series.
I always say I enjoy doing this show because I'm always learning. One of the things I was shocked to hear, people fishing in freshwater using something like 50-pound tests. So here, I'm going to show you my ignorance now. In my experience in saltwater fishing, I did very little freshwater fishing, but in my experience in saltwater fishing, with 25 or 30-pound tests, I had a problem with the line constantly curling up on me and trying to keep the line straight, if you will. How do you do it with 50-pound tests?
Are you talking about braid or mono?
Yes.
I was talking about mono. Go ahead.
Actually, when we use 50-pound, we use 50-pound braid, which doesn't curl up. A lot of teams now, because the water is so clear and stuff, especially for the post-spawn bite later on in the year, they switch to fluorocarbon, which does have a tendency to coil up over time, and as well as mono. But usually what I do is I just take a warm rag, boil a rag or something, and just lay it over my reel to get rid of that stretch, that coil stretch. Really there's no, besides, stretching your line out, letting out 100 yards of line and pulling it tight and stretching it and reeling it in. Basically we just, for the amount of money we're shooting for, even on saltwater, because some of these saltwater tournaments are huge money. We pretty much just change our line, just take, bite the bullet and find, just keep respooling every 6 months.
Well, you just verified why I love doing this show. I never even thought of taking a warm towel and putting it on the line to kind of release the memory that's in the line. I just learned something new again.
Yeah, there are a lot of little tricks out there to try to make it easier. Fishing's fantastic right now. I mean, even while the fish are spawning in the back down in the Everglades, there was a buddy of mine went out right before the cold front hit and got 100 fish on mile marker 41 on the alley. Wow. So there's a lot of males and bucks and stuff in the main canals that haven't made it to the back yet to be with their female friends. And so there's still a possibility of catching some decent fish in the canals right now.
That's amazing. My goodness. So, Mike, in your experience here lately on the water, what's the quality of the water like?
To be honest with you, the quality of the water is fantastic. The algae bloom cannot live in the wintertime. And I can't stress this enough, especially because I started out saltwater fishing with snook fishing and stuff. And I honestly believe that if there was any, the lake level's at 12 foot now, so it's lowering Holiday Parks at 7.6, which is extremely low for this time of the year, which means there's not a lot of water to release. But if there was water to release, they should do it now in the wintertime and not wait to the summertime when the algae blooms build up in the lakes, and then discharge them into the saltwater estuaries and stuff. I mean, right now the water's clean.
What you suggested doesn't make sense to our government. If you think about anything that they do, they always do it backwards and they do it too late. It would make all the sense in the world with as little as I know about the algae bloom. One thing I do know is what you just said. The colder it gets, the more difficult it is for the bloom to continue. So if you're going to release the water that acts like a steroid for the algae bloom, why don't you do it now during this temperature while it inhibits the ability of it to grow? Do it now, for Pete's sake, instead of waiting, to do it during the summer. And we had 140 miles of our west coast decimated at one time. Fish kills that were in the tons, I'm not exaggerating, in the tons of fishes off of the west coast. And it began to affect the east coast. And, thank God, thank nature, thank you, planet, for doing what you do, changing the weather, giving us a break. I'm very happy to hear what you're reporting, that the water quality is good, because I'm very concerned about that.
Yeah, right now as fishermen, we're battling the FWC, the Wildlife Commission, on overspraying, because one of the keys to get rid of the ingredients needed for the algae is to have wild plant life. And right now the state of Florida is spending millions and millions of dollars on spray boats to go out and spray every living piece of grass on the waters. I mean, Lake Istapoga in North Florida, up closer to Pam, and Okeechobee itself, and even some of the local canals down here just take a pounding by the spray boats. They're spraying everything, so that plant life is not only dying off, it's rotting on the bottom, it's covering up the spawning areas. So areas that used to be hard bottom and really good areas for these bass to spawn are now just black muck from all the overspraying. And the people that are spraying the waters down here aren't even really from Florida. They're from Georgia.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And they have, yes, they have no clue what they're doing. When they come in, they're just unloading everything everywhere. And that's the problem as anglers that we're facing right now. We're having meetings with FWC, begging them to please cut back on the spraying. I mean, they literally turned Lake Istapoga into a mud bowl. It used to be hydrilla. There used to be a bunch of hydrilla in there, big fish being caught every day. Now you go there, you struggle to catch a fish, and if the wind blows more than 10 miles an hour, it literally turns the whole lake into chocolate milk.
How sad. How sad. And, you're speaking about the spraying. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're spraying a product made by a company called Monsanto. The product has an ingredient in it called glyphosate. For those of you who don't know what that means, please look it up. It is a serious problem around the planet. This is not just here in Florida, not just here in the United States, around the planet. Glyphosate is a known carcinogen. It causes all kinds of problems. If I'm not mistaken, this is what they're spraying. It's a very, very popular product. It's sold to the retail stores known as Roundup. If you're using Roundup, I beg you to please do some research and be very careful with that stuff. It is one of the most carcinogenic liquids and they sell it freely on the market. It is one of the most carcinogenic liquids that is on the market. Please be careful if you're using Roundup.
Yeah, so all for nothing. They're overspraying, which is gonna, to not take away all the phosphorus and stuff from this stuff. So we'll probably get another algae bloom next year. hopefully they keep the lake levels lower. They're supposed to build a new reservoir south of Okeechobee, which we already have 7 or 8 of them. I honestly believe they needed to build reservoirs north of Okeechobee because 80% of the polluted water comes into Okeechobee from up north through the Kissimmee chain, and they're doing very little to convert their $1 million an acre land plots up north into marsh saving, water saving reservoirs. So I guess it's all up to us down south.
I think our best defense, Mike, is educating the people, letting them know this is not just straight cut. We need help from other people, and the people that are responsible for this need to be held responsible for their actions. What they've done so far has been very irresponsible, and I really believe it's just a money-based thing. It's a political thing, and it's very sad because we're talking about our environment. We're talking, what are we leaving our kids? When I was a child, I could go saltwater fishing in the canals and catch just about anything you see in the bay would be in our canals. That's no longer true, not anywhere near true. And it's all because of our irresponsibility of taking care of this planet. We're supposed to be stewards of the planet. We haven't done a very good job. Anyway, I'm out of time. I've got to take a break. Mike, thank you so very much for taking time to call in. I'm always excited to have you on because you bring the freshwater part. We talk a lot about saltwater, but you bring the freshwater part, and it's always good to hear that the quality of the water has gone up. A very Merry Christmas to you, my friend, you and your family. God bless you, and any parting words before we go?
Merry Christmas to you and your family, and a big shout-out to Sean Woosley up in Orlando and all the King teams listening right now. Great. This is a great program. They talk about a lot of great stuff, not just fishing, as you heard, but as far as protecting the environment and stuff. And hopefully everybody will tune in the future. It's a great show. Merry Christmas, everybody. January 6th, Lewiston. See everybody there.
God bless you, my friend.
You too.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise!
Right! Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but the teachers, the counselors, they help you. One of the teachers was Miss Araceli. Miss Araceli, she gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll come over and she'll sit there with you until you get it. Thank you, Miss Araceli. I know you make a difference in people's lives because of the person and teacher you are. I wanted to be here because I wanted to thank you for helping me get a beautiful gift. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work. Getting your high school diploma, it is a life-changing experience. It really is.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
The views and opinions expressed on the L&M Radio Network solely belong to those who make them and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the L&M Radio Network or our affiliates and advertisers.
Have you ever heard of Audible? Audible is a website with hundreds of thousands of audiobooks. They're all high quality, easy to listen to, and, best of all, if you take advantage of a special deal that we've worked out for you, you can get one for free. That's right, a free audiobook of your choice in any genre, simply by going to audibletrial.com/openeyes and signing up for the free trial. It's simple to do, and it would support the shows that we bring to you, and hey, you get a free book out of the whole thing. So why not take advantage of it today? Go to audibletrial.com/openeyes and sign up for the trial.
Ask 10 different scientists about the environment, population control, genetics, and you'll get 10 different answers. But there's one thing every scientist on the planet agrees on. Whether it happens in 100 years, or 1,000 years, or 1,000,000 years, eventually our sun will grow cold and go out. When that happens, it won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe, and Lao Tzu, and Einstein, and Morobuto, and Buddy Holly, and Aristophanes. All of this was for nothing. Unless we go to the stars.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it. L&M Radio Network, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun. I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Well, a very good morning to you. If you're just joining in, we are having a tremendous time here in South Florida. At least I am. It's a beautiful, crisp day out there. Kind of cool for us Floridians. I've lived most of my life here in Florida. But I learned something many years ago, and that was to layer your clothing. Something that was completely foreign to me, but in layering the clothing, it kind of helps me stay warm out there and enjoy the day. It is. I'm looking at the radar. There is nothing. It's just nothing coming up on the radar. The last count was around 5 mile per hour winds out there on the East Coast, and I believe it's going to be very similar on the West Coast. Miss Pam can kind of clarify that for me. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning. Good morning. Yep, it's pretty calm out there. It's beautiful. Currently, we're in the 30s and 40s. Hopefully, we'll get up to the 60s. So if you're out there and you're looking for a place to fish and you're fishing the flats, look for muddy bottoms, docks, and seawalls because all those will attract heat or keep heat and will attract the fish.
So when it gets cold like this, I would think that the fish go deeper. Am I right? They go deeper or they go shallower?
It depends. A lot of the fish go shallower. You're going to find, we'll find some snook in deep holes, but they tend to go up into the canals that retain more heat because you're going to see the dark bottoms and seawalls on both sides, which all are heat conductors or, retain it and stick it in, bring it down into the water.
Yeah. Now that you say that, it reminds me that you did mention that before, and it made sense that the canals, because they're the water's not as much water there, it retains the heat from the land itself. It helps transmit it into the water, transfuse it, however it's called. But it would be a little warmer there than it would be, for example, out in the bay or open water, something like that. So I wonder how cold it is up in North Carolina. My next guest is Captain Ron Weintraub. Captain Ron has I just spoke briefly about this product made by Monsanto called glyphosate. It is a very deadly product. I don't mean to scare anybody, but really you should do your research about this product. What I like about Captain Ron, he found something that is absolutely non-toxic, safe for children. Go take a look at any of the stuff that you buy when you're going outdoors and you're thinking, oh my God, I don't want to get eaten up by the mosquitoes, or I don't want to get eaten up by the fleas or the ticks or whatever else is out there. And you spray this stuff. It has the thing called DEEP, D-E-E-P. D-E-E-T, like Tom, in it. It is another carcinogen. It has severe side effects to some people. So there's one of the reasons I like Captain Ron, and he likes to fish. So good morning, Captain Ron. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you too.
What's it like? What's it like up there in North Carolina?
It is absolutely beautiful up here today. Winds are like 5 and variable. The fishing's it's still been great. I mean, believe it or not, we're still getting live shrimp here almost at Christmas.
Ooh.
So fishing's been good. There's been some yellowfin. We were still catching billfish right up until December, and the beaches are, this is our off season right now, so there's not a whole lot of tourists here. There's a lot of surf fishermen here. We're catching sea mullet in the surf. We're catching bluefish. We're catching striped bass. And, for this time of year, the fishing is really good. And, like I said, it's not as crowded because, it's the off season and it's the holidays. But the true diehard fishermen are here in their four-wheel. See, here in North Carolina, down here on the Outer Banks, we can actually drive our trucks out on the beach where, most parts of Florida, I know you can in Daytona, but for the most part, you can't drive out on the beach with your vehicle.
That's right.
No.
No, but here in North Carolina, we can get a permit and drive out on the beach and, take your fishing poles and stuff and, go on out there and make a day of it. Because, this is kind of funny, but 3 years ago, our best friends and us, we were at December 19th, we were sitting out on the beach in our shorts, and it was 74 degrees on December the 19th up here. So the weather's up and down here. It's, one day it might be 30, and the next day it might be 45, next day 60, so you just never know. But, what you were speaking of earlier about these dangerous things, people don't really realize what they're putting on their bodies, especially their children. I mean, this DEET that's in this other products is so dangerous. And for the life of me, I've tried to contact news medias all over to tell them the dangers of DEET. I mean, I've spoken with many doctors and everything. DEET, and let me tell you something, and especially for people in Florida and warm places that stays warm a lot. Now, if you take and put on a sunscreen, just any sunscreen, it doesn't matter what brand it is, and you take, and the bugs come out, and you spray this DEET, which is, I won't name the product, but there's a lot of products out there with DEET in it. You spray that on top of sunscreen, and it raises the toxic level from 9.2 to 30.7 going into your bloodstream.
Wow.
Now, this doctor did tell me this, and this doctor is from India, and he's got more letters behind his name than the alphabet. He's very brilliant man. He's up at Duke University. He told me that if you put a DEET product on children under the age of 12, it can cause brain damage, paralysis, and blindness. Now, that's not something I want to put on my grandchild, nor do I want to put it on myself. So we've developed a product called it's called OBX Skeeter Beater. It's got no DEET in it. It smells wonderful because Riscala can tell you it smells great. Mm-hmm. It's not greasy. Now, we've come out with a new product. We've come out now with a sunscreen with Skeeter Beater in it. It's got an SPF of 40, and it's also got the Skeeter Beater in it, so you're protected from the sun and the bugs. But this is the only sunscreen in the world right now, I can make that claim, that can be allowed to be sold in Hawaii or any other country that has a coral reef. Like Florida's got reefs, and you can't, all the sunscreens have been banned because they got two ingredients in it that's dangerous and destroying the coral reef. But our sun beater does not have those two ingredients in it and is perfectly safe for divers or swimmers or whatever around the reef, and it will not hurt it at all.
Wow. Again, I'm learning, my friends. I don't pretend to know everything. I wasn't aware that there are ingredients that are in commercial sunscreen that are actually affecting the reefs.
Yes, the governor of Hawaii signed an order that no sunscreen except ours can be used in Hawaii.
Wow. I have to check in. I had no idea that. Well, I knew that a lot of. Go ahead.
If you type in sunscreen banned in Hawaii for coral reef, it'll pop right up on the internet.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there was chemicals in this. There was so much interaction between humans putting it on their body and then going into the ocean that it actually affected the reefs. That's it's amazing.
Yes, it is. And
did you know that, Pam? Pam, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys, I was listening to the conversation.
Oh.
My question is, where can we pick this up? If you could say the name again, and where somebody could go to purchase this.
This is called R&B's OBX Skeeter Beater. If anybody wants to find out how to purchase this, you can contact me directly. I'll give you my email address and my cell phone number. And my email address is CAPT_Ron, RON, at AOL.com. I'm still one of the old timers. I still use AOL. Now my cell phone number is 252-475-0244. Now, hey Pam, can you hear me still?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, we learned this by accident. It's got zinc oxide in it, and it was developed by a plastic surgeon.
Wow.
So we took his sunscreen and combined it with our Skeeter Beater, and it went to perfection. But here's the thing with that. Here's the thing with the zinc oxide. Do not use a lot of it. A little goes a long way, because if you put too much on, you're going to look just like Casper the Friendly Ghost. So what I'm saying, just take a little bit and just kind of wipe it till it rubs in, till it blends in with your skin, and then put a little bit more on. But it will stay with you all day. I have direct testimony from a semi-pro surfer from Costa Rica that used it, and he wrote me an email. He said, "Captain Ron, this is the greatest product I have ever used." And he said he put it on. He surfed a tournament in Costa Rica. He came out. He didn't get burnt, and he didn't get any bug bites. So word started spreading through Costa Rica, through all the surfing community, and they were like, "Well, let me try it." And he said when he got the tube back, it was empty. Everybody used it, and he said that night when they all went to dinner, everybody smelled like Sunbeater.
Wow!
But this is something that's really catching on and popular, because you're getting protection from the sun and the bugs, and you can go swim with it and come out, and it still works.
That's
amazing.
Yeah.
And it's safe for the environment. Now we also make Skeeter Beater for pets, like for fleas and ticks and chiggers and red bugs. We've tested it out. It works perfect on that. Now, if you have a dog that has dry skin or whatever, what we recommend is get a soft rubber brush and just spray this on the rubber brush and brush against the grain of the hair, and it gets down to the skin, and it gets rid of itching. They've cured mange with this stuff that we make, the pet Skeeter Beater. We also have a really unique product, and it's called Bite Burn Beater. And what it is, if you get jellyfish sting or you get severe sunburn or whatever, this is actually first aid in a bottle. And I'll tell you a quick story. There was a girl that was from Atlanta, and her husband were up here vacationing, and he was fishing, and she fell asleep on the beach. When I tell you, this girl, she didn't have anything on a fire truck because she was blistered red. And she said she tried everything on the market. And I said, "Well, ma'am," I said, "I don't know if this will help you or not, but I said, it's worth a try." So I gave her and her husband a bottle. They tried it. She called me later that night. She said, "I don't know what's in this, but everybody in Atlanta is going to know about it." She said, "I feel so much better this morning. I'm not burning. I'm not." She was to the point almost blistering. And she said she sprayed it on. It felt cool to her body.
Amazing.
So, and then, we got this, of course, we got the Sun Beater and the regular Skeeter Beater. And the thing is, it has no shelf life. So I got a bottle that I made 10 years ago, and I still got it. And when you open it up, it's pretty strong. And I also want to thank Victoria Brinkley with Fish Florida. She has been a major influence in helping us get our product known. And Todd at Roundabout Boats, he's partnered up with us in Skeeter Beater. So we're kind of partnered up with Roundabout Boats up in Ruskin, Florida.
Wow.
And we're getting more and more people that want to get involved with us because we have a natural product that's not harmful to the environment. Like Riscal said, there's so much stuff polluting our waterways, it's unbelievable.
It is. It's sad. Anyway, Captain Ron, I'm completely out of time. It is at it's top of the hour, and I've got to go to this break. Thank you so very much. Again, my friend, Merry Christmas. Pam, any parting words before I take the break?
No, I just I wish we knew of a website where you can order direct.
I'll give out the website when we come back. I'll give out the website.
The website right now is under construction. We had, but if you send me an email or call me on my cell phone number, I can make sure you can get the product.
All right, Captain Ron. Thank you so much. God bless, my friend.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What's up, Ricky Dillon here at the largest social media gathering in the world. So the internet is an amazing place, but sometimes it can be a not so great place with online bullying and trolling and stuff. Have you ever seen online bullying before?
Unfortunately, it's kind of common. Online, people can hide behind the internet. Those comment sections can be a little
harsh.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a good word for it.
I've been called many homophobic names.
I felt embarrassed. I felt humiliated. It made me stop liking myself.
What if I told you there is something that you can use anytime that you see bullying online that calls attention to it in a nice way? Like, hey, that's not nice.
I wish that was the thing.
It's this! So anytime that you see any kind of hate online, go into your phone, go into the symbol section, post this I, and it says that that's bullying, that's not nice. So would you post this if you saw someone bullying someone?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a lot more mature way to handle the situation.
Find the emoji in your phone, send it to 5 of your friends, and let them know what it means to be a witness.
Go to eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more about the emoji.
The L&M Radio Network has a subscriber chat room for you, the listener. Come interact with your fellow listeners and like-minded people and talk about the shows in a safe environment, from the paranormal to conspiracies and anything else L&M related. All you have to do is go to the lnmradionetwork.com website and click the official chat page button at the top of the homepage. From there, you can sign up for the cost of a cup of coffee. If you're a late-nighter subscriber, the chat room is absolutely free with your subscription. Terms and conditions apply. Then click connect and you'll be able to log into the chat room. We're here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the chat room is both for Studio A and Studio B. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behavior through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food. Cha-ching. And $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted. Which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behavior. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star. I dare you to stand up here. To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration.
An innovator.
To be a teacher. Be my teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. I'm waiting.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework.
He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
L&M Radio Network, shining the light of truth 24 hours a day.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, we are back. It is the top of the hour. If you missed the first hour of the shows are always archived. You can find them on fishfloridashow.com, fishfloridashow.com. You can also find us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, Fish Florida Show, as well. And so anything that you have missed is archived there. It's also archived on the L&M Radio Network. Thank you to the L&M Radio Network for doing that for us. Greatly appreciated. And this morning, as I am always honored to have with me, one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida, Miss Pam Worth. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning. How are you this chilly morning?
A little brisk out there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Man, that first hour went quickly. We had some awesome guests on.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have these people on, and I'm always learning. The next guest had taught me quite a bit as well. The next guest, as I mentioned earlier in the show, is Bruce Marks. Bruce is someone who represents, was once a victim and has turned that victimization back into the face of the people that could help stop that. And he's going to kind of clarify what I'm talking about. But it revolves around GPS units, and I was absolutely shocked to find out that some of these units get up to like $10 and upwards of that $1,000. And we've had Atlas Tracks on. We've had them explain to us how you can protect your whatever that investment is. Primarily I've always thought of it as the vessels, whether it's a boat, a jet ski, whatever that might be. I never thought about the equipment. We've talked time and again about the equipment, but I never gave it a second thought into how many thousands of dollars some of this stuff can cost. This next gentleman, he's going to kind of explain that to me. Good morning, Bruce. I appreciate you taking the time to call in.
Hey, Riscala, how are you this morning?
I'm doing very well, my friend. I'm going to turn you down just a little bit because you seem a little loud. Welcome to the Fish Florida Show. Thank you for taking the time to call in and kind of explain to us what we've been talking about.
No, Riscala, I think the thanks is to you and the Fish Florida Show for helping me bring awareness to this situation and this cause that we're advocating for regarding this GPS theft situation. And frankly, this is a microcosm of a bigger situation that's going on here in South Florida with all the boat theft, motor and lower unit theft, as well as electronics theft that we're experiencing here. It's unfortunate. While we may be living in the boating capital of the world, we're also experiencing, due to that brand here in South Florida, a very high rate of criminal activity involving boats, motors, and engines. So I'm glad and happy that you gave us the opportunity to talk about this today. The situation really goes back to April when I was a victim. I had just gotten my boat out of a renovation, and kind of the cherry on the top of the renovation was the installation of a brand new Garmin 7616 chart plotter. I had it for around 10 days before somebody decided they were going to board my boat and help themselves to it. And I became a victim of a theft. And as a result of that, I decided I could go one of two ways. I could take it, or I could try and do something about it. And I decided to take the latter position. And in the process, with a friend of mine, Scott Baxter, we started the South Florida Marine and Boat Watch Facebook group that's over 11,000 people that we've now linked in on Facebook to have a real-time community watch effort, which in and of itself has already led to a couple of arrests and boat recoveries. And we're hoping that the listeners here today, if they're not already a member of that group, to please go ahead and join that group, because we're doing our best to spread awareness on this situation, and we're actively working with law enforcement to set up this real-time network. As soon as somebody posts notice about a theft, it goes up on the page. I'm in communication with a lot of members of law enforcement, and we're hoping to try and push back a little bit with the bad guys.
Wow. Pam, I know I just feel you itching there.
No, I want to do a shout out to Accurate Reels, because they're one of the few people that number each and every one of their reels. So if one gets stolen, and we had a big break-in at our tackle shop, and they found them when they came to get serviced. And long story short, we ended up tracking down the people who stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from us.
Wow.
But is there a way that Garmin and Lawrence and some of the others can get out there and put a serial number where it's going to be hard to find, or some sort of a tracking system that if it's taken out of your battery or something like that some sort of beeper would go off? Yeah. What are you guys, is there something you're working on or pushing for?
Yes. Thank you for that question, because that question is also timely. In addition to forming that Facebook group, the South Florida Marine and Boat Watch group, I also started reflecting on this situation and my status as a victim of a GPS theft. And it started me thinking about some fundamental things. I mean, Scala, you mentioned Atlas Track, and I know Carolyn Stash, and I've been talking with her about this issue. I'm trying to become somewhat of a quasi-expert on all of this stuff, because I am not very acute when it comes to this type of technology, but I do know a couple of things. My iPhone has a passcode system and a Find Your Phone application. I also know that the OnStar system in my truck, if it's reported stolen, allows OnStar to disable my unit, my truck, the engine, remotely. So taking these two concepts that I know about today, I mean, everybody's got phones, they've got apps, they've got passcodes, they've got passwords, and I started thinking, why is it that the GPS industry does not have the same technology as does these other forms of technology? And then that caused me to start another Facebook group, which is called Marine Electronics Industry, Stop the GPS Theft. And I would welcome everybody who are not on that page to please join that one as well, because I'm advocating for three things on that page. One, the incorporation of passcodes upon startup, which is kind of the low-hanging fruit, as I've been told by the members of the electronics industry with whom I've been speaking. The second thing that I'm advocating for is the installation of tracking devices within these units. And then the third thing I am advocating for is the capability to have GPS units shut down remotely upon being reported stolen. Everybody's GPS unit has a serial number, and as everybody knows but often forgets, upon purchasing a unit, you register it with the company in order to secure your warranty registration and warranty service. I took those three concepts and I walked the floor at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, and that was after having commenced the dialogue directly with Garmin. And I must say that Garmin has been receptive to a discussion, as has some of the other manufacturers, Raymarine, Furuno, and Simrad. And as everybody can understand, there's a certain amount of cynicism where people don't think these manufacturers really want to do anything, because they have been part of a pretty interesting recipe over 30 years, and that is boat owners have insurance. If they get their units stolen, those boat owners may claim on their policies. The insurance companies give the boat owner a check, and then the boat owner goes out and buys a brand new unit. And I started thinking about that cycle, and that's why I started this cause, because to me, that cycle needs to be broken.
Absolutely.
Given all the thefts that we have here in South Florida, our insurance premiums are going through the roof. And at some point, people have to start recognizing that there's a better way to build a mousetrap. And I firmly believe that the technology exists for these manufacturers to do what we're advocating for. I mean, frankly, this technology with GPSs, if we can steer smart bombs into 3-foot doorways from hundreds of miles away, we can take that same technology and use it here at home and start catching the bad guys and steal a GPS unit. There's no reason why we can't have these manufacturers install tracking, use the software that we have on our phones for all the other alarm systems that are out there, and start catching the bad guys. And I've kind of made it a personal quest to do my best to force this change, because I know that the technology exists for these people to start manufacturing their units to make them safer and more secure for all of us.
I read an article from Simrad, probably about 6 months, maybe 9 months ago, that they were working on something like that, because like the auto industry, I mean, the auto industry has the same thing, but they developed the OnStar to help eliminate some of that theft. I think if they did that in coordination with insurance, that's where you get your big push.
Absolutely. In fact, my unit got stolen in April. And after my unit got stolen in April, I immediately took to Facebook with this idea and to start perhaps putting it out there for public consumption that something needs to be done. I have had personally conversations with various members in the industry who frankly have asked me to keep those communications between us, and I will honor that request. But there are several manufacturers which are presently working on something. They all agree that passcodes are they call that the low-hanging fruit. The passcodes can be put in with a simple software update. I mean, every listener that's out there that has a GPS knows every time you power up your GPS unit, there's a disclaimer that says this is meant as an aid, not as a primary source of navigation, and we cannot be held liable for any incidents, and similar language. So we've all seen our phones get updated, it seems like, every other week with the new software update.
Yep.
The passcode is something that is easily done.
Yep.
I'm trying to get them to get to the bigger picture, and that is what you just mentioned about the ability to locate these units, and they're working on infrastructure changes. It's both a hardware as well as a software issue, and I will say that the National Marine Electronics Association has kind of come in to assist me on this, and they are facilitating a meeting coming up at the February boat show to expand on these discussions. So at least the discussion has started. All these manufacturers, I think, are working on something, because you can take the cynical part and say they don't necessarily want to do something, but I believe that everybody that I've spoken with are well-intentioned. They just have various levels of bureaucracy as well as technology that they need to meet and deal with before they can formally announce moving forward on any sort of change to the existing units.
Let me share this with you. I've got some manufacturing background, and I've got some electronics background. I built my first computer in 1985. It was called, back then it was called a PC clone. It wasn't even called what we call it today. But anyway, it kind of shows my age. I know that in my experience, at one time, copiers just made copies. That's all they did. That's all they were capable of doing. You put in an original and you get a copy out. Then the demand for the ability to scan documents came out, and they had independent document scanners, which they still have today. What I'm getting to is that the manufacturers realized what a benefit it would be to have a machine that not only would copy, that would also scan at the same time. The technology was already there. It was already built into the machine. The copier had to scan the document in order to make a copy. So all they had to do is a minor modification to the circuitry, and they went from being just a copier to now a scanner. You can scan this document and send it to wherever you want to send it, to an email, to your computer, wherever that might be. The technology to be able to track a GPS once it's stolen, much of it is already built in because it's already using the technology to help you locate wherever you are. So it's wouldn't take a big leap, if you will, to take it from what it is now, which is literally nothing, to making it a sophisticated piece of equipment, and the cost to the manufacturer, I believe, would be extremely minimal. The return to the manufacturer would be the ability to offer a product that is more secure, I guess is the easiest way to describe it. A product that would be more secure to those who invest. The other thing, Bruce, I wasn't aware of, you shocked me. Thousands and thousands of dollars these things cost.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. You don't worry about dating yourself going back to 1985 because I was around back then too, and everybody that was around in 1985 remembers the wonderful mainframe computers that we had that had a DOS floppy disk.
Oh my goodness!
Stick in to get the whole thing moving.
Yep.
And think about where we've come from 1985 to now. We've got phones that do more than those 1985 mainframes ever could think about doing. Those phones fit in our hands, and the social media technology is such that everything these days are running on an app. And I am in complete agreement with you, and I will never be able to compete on the same level cerebrally with these manufacturers because they're engineers, they're brilliant people, they know their products. All I could do is come to this cause with some common sense, and that common sense tells me that if OnStar can shut down my engine and iPhone requires a passcode and has a Find Your Phone app, there is no but way that anyone is going to explain to me that this same technology cannot readily be integrated into GPS systems. And once this is done, the idea of somebody walking the dock and getting onto my boat and stealing my GPS to go put it on the black market becomes a thing of the past because that thing becomes as hot can be, and nobody's want to carry that thing around knowing that they're being tracked and can be arrested at any moment. I will say this, and again, the GPS site is called Marine Electronics Industry. Stop the GPS thefts. I would invite everybody to become a member of that site and go on to the page and see some of the endorsements which we have already received. We got CV Boats, Sea Hunter, Maverick, Dolphin Boats, Dusky Boats, Yellowfin, Bob Hughes, various captains in the area, Ray Rocher, Al Martinez, Mike Puller, Quentin Dieterle, Wayne Kahn. I've got a who's who of people that are providing me with their letters of support. And I would like to get more letters because I want to be able to be in a position come February to sit down with these manufacturers and say, listen, we're kind of at the crossroads here. If you keep doing what you're doing, then somebody's going to come out and make a difference. And if that somebody does come out and make a difference, they're going to get the market share of these purchases in the future. Yeah. And I would welcome anybody to send a letter to me in support of this cause.
It wouldn't be a big jump, I'm telling you, from my experience in electronics, it wouldn't be a big jump with whatever it is that they're manufacturing today to incorporate Pam kind of alluded to it earlier on, to incorporate a circuit that would be within the technology, within the device itself, that would be separate battery operated. We know that there's technology that exists that if something moves, it can give you a warning of some sort. So this circuit that would be built into these things would realize this thing has been jolted or moved. From that point forward, the independent battery on the unit itself would begin to transmit like an EPIRB to let you know where it's at, exactly what's going on with it, just like Atlas Tracks would do, and be able to help you recover your equipment. There's another side of two more sides of this that a lot of us don't realize because we're not subject to it. One, you have to deal with the feeling of being
violated.
Violated. Thank you, Pam. The feeling of being violated. It's just not a very nice feeling. The other is the knowing, and I think Bruce is the one who told me this, the knowing that you see your own, whatever it was that was stolen, on sale somewhere else for a fraction of what originally went for. The idea that there is an entire market of black market for these things. That's another thing that needs to be discussed. This will only further the more thievery and the more violations of people's privacy. It's something that really should be addressed. People shouldn't be buying something that's already, and you can tell. Bruce gave me an example of, I think, a unit that was around $5,000. That unit he saw on, I may be wrong, I think it was Craigslist was what he said, or saw a picture of it somewhere, and it was a fraction of that. It was like $1,000 or $1,100. You know right off the bat something brand new at a fraction of what it's being sold for. There's something wrong. You need to steer away from that. If anything, you should report that. We should be reporting, because somebody is going to end up stealing something from you if we continue to support that industry. The other side of it is we go back to the manufacturers should claim a responsibility to the purchaser. They're investing thousands of dollars into their equipment. They have the ability. I'm telling you, from my experience, where we went from copiers to scanners, the technology, the platform was already built there. You have mentioned the cell phones. Why is it a cell phone can do all of these things? It can actually see through walls if you have the right app and the right external piece of equipment to plug into it. How can it do all of these things? Because the platform is already there. The same thing with these GPS devices. The platform is already there. The jump to make it remotely shut down, the jump to be able to find it wherever it's at, anywhere around the planet, the jump to be able to go to just put in simple passwords so at least they can't get into it right away and give you time to retrieve it. All of that is very easily done. It's just a matter of making the manufacturers responsible for it.
Well, or it's demand. You know, it's realizing the demand.
We're making the demand.
I mean, before they needed the scanner or, the fax machine, that it was there, but until the demand created it, the manufacturer didn't do it. And I think what you're doing is awesome, creating that demand, putting it out there. I suggest also that you target a few of your marine insurance companies. They control 60%, I think, of the dollars in the whole United States. I'm talking insurance particular, not just marine. You're talking big bucks there. And if they require it to lower your insurance premium for your boat, I think that's going to be a big push to the manufacturers also.
Well, I'll tell you this, just a couple of quick things that Riscala said about being violated. It was that feeling of coming out the next morning on a Sunday to wash my boat and look up and see a hole where my GPS once existed. That feeling that I had is really what's fueling me now, because nobody should have that feeling. Yeah. Nobody should come out and see their GPS gone, because GPSs should not be able to have a place in the black or secondary market, because the manufacturer should be able to render them useless once reported stolen. That's why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm pushing so hard for this, because once you establish and once it becomes known that GPSs become paperweights, nobody's going to risk going to jail or trying to sell something on the secondary market knowing that nobody's going to be able to use it. And in this idea, and Riscala, you said something earlier too, which is very true, and that is, systems like Atlas Tracks and some of these other alarms that are out there, they have geofences. So those are really designed for the whole boat. If the boat leaves a slip or leaves a certain area, you get alerted about the geofence being violated. If I would have had a system in place back in April that would have alerted me that my unit has left my boat and the geofence was crossed, I would have been immediately able to get on the phone, call the cops, and had that unit tracked, because the gentleman, or I shouldn't say gentleman, I use the term loosely, the person that came and stole from me came by boat. So I would have immediately been able to say, there goes my GPS, it's heading this way, it's heading that way, and get the appropriate police jurisdiction at the ramp or at the dock to be able to have a nice little meeting with this person. And that's the technology that exists now. And that's the technology that should be employed in these units, because every one of these thefts, and I'm learning this through my association with the Boat Watch Group, it's all about time. We are missing these thefts literally by minutes. People that go to bed and come up the next morning and their boat is gone. They are missing the opportunity to catch these people in the act literally by seconds. And if we can shorten that amount of time, it gives these people the chance to get away with our goods, then we've done our job. And Riscala, like you said, the technology exists, everybody has an app for everything these days, and there's no excuse why somebody can take a GPS from somebody's boat and not get caught before they end up where they're trying to take it to by the police. It defies common sense given today's technology.
It certainly does, especially for someone like me who is somewhat familiar with electronics. I know that it's already there. The platform is already there. Like I mentioned with the cell phones, why is it that your cell phone can do all these things? You know, if you go back, now I'm going to show my age, but if you go back to when I was growing up, to think that you had one device, that could act as a telephone, that could play stereo for you, that could play video for you, that could do all of these other applications. All you have to do is download it and it'll do it for you. Even see through walls with the right hardware. Nobody would have ever thought that in their wildest imagination something like that could be held in your hand. Why can it be do all of these things? How is that possible? Because it has the platform. The basics are already built into your cell phone. I'm saying the same thing about these GPS devices. The basics are already built in. The jump is from that to what people are asking. Actually, I would demand at this point, again, because I go back and I'm shocked. These are thousands of dollars that people are investing into this equipment, thousands and thousands of dollars. To know that the technology exists and to not be able to have it, that's kind of a slap in the face to the consumer. And to be able to show the responsibility of the manufacturer would be to say, you know what, let's bite the bullet, let's do this. The cost of the unit would have to be very, in terms of going up, would be very minimal. Again, I go back to copier to a digital scanner. The jump was nothing. It was literally nothing. The same thing is true with what we're asking for here. A GPS that would have the ability to be able to be tracked, remotely shut down. All of that platform is already built in to the GPS. It's just a small jump from one to the other. Very minimal cost to the manufacturer.
And Riscala, the one thing that came out of some of my discussions with Garmin, one thing that was told to me is that the tracking device itself would cost about $30. And what I hear a lot of times people saying, well, we can't agree with this and what you're advocating for because it's going to drive the cost of GPS units up. And my response to that is, if I had a $5,000 GPS stolen from me in April, and somebody told me that I'd have to pay $5,030 to buy a new one, and then maybe $100 a year for an app feature on my phone, I'd be happy to spend that money without a problem to ensure that I could track my GPS. And going back to Atlas Tracks, look at what they do. They've got a system in place where I could call Carolyn and say, my boat was ripped off. Carolyn, where is it? She gets on the computer and tells me where my boat is.
Yeah.
Why is it that Carolyn can do that with Atlas Tracks on an entire boat, and the GPS industry cannot do that with the GPS unit, a component part of a boat? Like you said.
The $30 is something, and again, I key back to the insurance companies who are end up sending you a check to go buy a new unit. That's $5,000 out of their pocket. I think they would easily give discounts for this type of, tracking device that would level the playing field.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you this: I'm a maritime lawyer in part, and I deal with a lot of marine insurance issues from time to time. And I go to seminars and I hear things and I talk to people about things. The problem that we're facing in South Florida is so bad, and the theft situation is so bad, that they're starting to consider things like excluding Yamaha outboards from coverage, excluding Garmin GPSs from coverage, because they're tired of seeing these thefts over and over again. And that impacts all of us. The last thing we want to be doing is having a boat that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars and then not get insurance for all or part of it because of our zip code where we live. And that's a problem that we are facing here. And that's why the industry is going to be putting a little pressure on these manufacturers too. And all of a sudden, if the manufacturers find out that the industry passes a rule tomorrow, the insurance industry, we're not going to cover Yamaha outboards, or we're not going to cover Garmin GPSs. I have a funny feeling that the engineers back at the shop will immediately start taking steps to fix the problem. And so while I'm not urging, insurance companies to disclaim coverage on these things, what I am urging is a discussion to have this problem solved because it's within their ability to do so.
Wow. It is, to me, it is a pretty simple, logical step to the next step. And what is being asked is not really, it's not a whole lot. I promise you that the technology already exists right now would be little to none for them to incorporate some kind of a password. That is, like you said, they called it the low-hanging fruit. The reason they called it that is because it's already there. It would require very little to none to do that. That in itself would help slow this nonsense down. But the ability to be able to track it, the ability to remotely shut it down, all of that platform is there. It just has to be added in. Just like I go back to the copier scanner thing. The copier would only make copies. That's all it would do. But then as we move forward with our technology, now it can copy and scan. It can offer you two things in one. Why? Because the platform was already there. The jump was very minimal for them to do that. I'm saying it's the same thing with GPS. The jump to make it non-trackable like it is now to trackable with the ability to shut it down remotely is not a big jump. It's not a big manufacturer. We have to re-engineer all. That's to me, in my experience, that's just simply not true. It would be just a matter of possibly some firmware changes, maybe some circuitry changes, but some firmware changes, maybe a software change of some sort. But it would easily meet what people are asking. It also would represent the responsibility of the manufacturer saying, look, we know that you're going to invest thousands of dollars in our product. What we're going to do to help you secure that investment is we've added, and whatever it is that we need, if it's a password or if it's all of these things, a password of the ability to remotely shut it down, the ability to remotely track it, all of those things. Mind you, we've mentioned Atlas Track, so I want to make sure that I mention this while I'm thinking about it. The device, one of the devices that Atlas Trax has is so small, so this is why I'm saying the jump is very minimal. The device is so small that Atlas Trax has, one of them, you could slip it into your pocket. So we're not talking about a big piece of circuitry or anything like that. It's already there. The platform's already there. The jump is minimal.
Absolutely. And you had mentioned earlier about the cost. I had received an email or a message from somebody the next day after my GPS was stolen, and they said that I can't for sure confirm it was mine, but a 7616 Garmin was up for sale on OfferUp, and it was up for sale for around $1,100. So anybody that thinks that they can go buy a 7616 Garmin for $1,100 knows that there's something wrong with that 7616.
Yeah.
And that aspect of this whole thing is what I'm trying to eliminate as well. Nobody's going to buy a unit for that, knowing that there's a possibility either that it's stolen or they can be tracked or it can be shut down remotely.
Yeah.
And once we do that, or once the manufacturers do that, nobody's going to be buying any GPS units on OfferUp or any other website for $1,000 or less. That will become a thing of the past.
Especially if you can shut it down, because then it's, like you said, it's a paperweight.
Yeah. Well, don't we do that with our phones? How is it that we can do that with our phones? Right? We're able to shut them down remotely. If you carry one of the apps, somebody gets off with your phone, you're able to shut that phone down. Should be able to do the same thing. And the phone, my goodness, the phone doesn't cost thousands of dollars. Well, not the phones I have anyway.
Oh, well, I'm sure that we put enough pressure on them. This is going to be something we're going to see come out in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But I hope it's in the next couple of months,
yeah.
Because I can tell you this. I've been doing my best to push the word here. I am trying to get the help of the fishing and boating community, that everybody has a vested interest in this. And some people do not appreciate it until they feel or have that feeling of being violated.
Yeah.
And once you've been violated, you look at this stuff a little differently. And I'm hopeful that as we get closer to the February boat show and that meeting with the National Marine Electronics Association, that by that time we will have had more people joining the Facebook group and more letters in support, because these manufacturers are actually on the page and they're reading the comments. There are several people from all the different GPS manufacturers who are on the page watching what's taking place. And nothing is more of an influence than the power of the consumer. And when I started this cause, I told everybody it's very few opportunities that we have where we as a consumer can change the conduct of an industry. And this is one of those opportunities.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah,
think that
and
if ever, go ahead.
It kind of needs to be two-pronged too, because I can see the manufacturer's point of view, and anybody out there that already has a system, they have to develop a way that the new systems, this is the easy step, are tracked, and then some sort of a kit that they can bring back to, wherever they bought it or whoever works on them, that can install this in their current systems, GPS systems.
Yep.
Right. And that becomes an infrastructure issue, and I've been talking with them about that, because all these GPS units come, when they manufacture them, they come in molds that have a certain amount of space within them to accommodate the motherboard and the screen. And
that's why I said 2 years.
Right. The retrofit, trying to retrofit a smaller unit becomes more difficult. But at the very least, if they wanted to, by tonight, they could send a software update to everybody and have a passcode installed. I kind of like to see that done within the next couple of months.
Right.
Thereafter, we can, change has to start somewhere, and even going forward with new hardware and firmware, at least they've done something to respond to this, as opposed to having another 30 years of the same cycle of stolen units being paid for by insurance companies. It needs to end.
That's not acceptable. Anyway, Bruce, I'm sorry. We went over time, but it was an important subject, and I wanted to make sure that we brought light to it. Thank you so much for calling in. A very Merry Christmas to you, sir, if you celebrate Christmas, or a very Merry holiday to you, whatever other holiday you celebrate. Again, I appreciate your work. We'll be back in contact with you to get an update of what's going on. I wish you a wonderful day. I've got to take a break. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Surprise! Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but the teachers, the counselors, they help you. One of the teachers was Miss Araceli. Miss Araceli, she gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll come over and she'll sit there with you until you get it.
Thank you, Miss Araceli. I know you make a difference in people's lives because of the person and teacher you are. I wanted to be here because I wanted to thank you for helping me get a beautiful gift.
50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work. Getting your high school diploma, it is a life-changing experience. It really is.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
The views and opinions expressed on the L&M Radio Network solely belong to those who make them and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the L&M Radio Network or our affiliates and advertisers.
Have you ever heard of Audible? Audible is a website with hundreds of thousands of audiobooks. They're all high quality, easy to listen to, and, best of all, if you take advantage of a special deal that we've worked out for you, you can get one for free. That's right, a free audiobook of your choice in any genre, simply by going to audibletrial.com/openeyes and signing up for the free trial. It's simple to do, and it would support the shows that we bring to you, and hey, you get a free book out of the whole thing. So why not take advantage of it today? Go to audibletrial.com/openeyes and sign up for the trial.
Ask 10 different scientists about the environment, population control, genetics, and you'll get 10 different answers. But there's one thing every scientist on the planet agrees on. Whether it happens in 100 years, or 1,000 years, or 1,000,000 years, eventually our sun will grow cold and go out. When that happens, It won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe, and Lao Tzu, and Einstein, and Morobuto, and Buddy Holly, and Aristophanes. All of this was for nothing. Unless we go to the stars.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it. L&M Radio Network, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun. Oh, I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on. When the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the final episode here, part of the show. I'm trying to read and talk. That's not working. It is the final portion of the show. We thank you for joining in. It's always an honor and a privilege, and I mean that, to have you listen in. And for those of you who have missed anything this morning, you can always find the archives at thefishfloridashow.com. You can find more archives at our YouTube channel, and of course there's archives on the L&M Radio Network. Thanks you to them for doing what they do. I have with me this morning Pam Worth, who is one of the top female kayak anglers. Good morning, Miss Pam. Forgive me. Let's try it again. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning. Hope you have your long underwear on.
It is a chilly morning for Florida, I got to tell you. So, we talk about fishing so often on the show, and a few times, you were kind enough to share some of this with me. A few times we've talked about, okay, well, now you've caught the fish, you've cleaned the fish, but have you decided what you're going to do? How are you going to cook that fish? Has that ever occurred to anybody? Well, the next guest, his name is Ken Coe, and Ken has a company called Southern Pride Gourmet Foods. He has some suggestions for those of you who have now caught the fish, you've cleaned the fish, and you haven't figured out how you want to eat the fish. Welcome to the show, Ken. Thank you for calling in.
Well, thank you for having me.
So they've caught the fish, they've cleaned the fish. What can we tell them?
Well, we have a number of ways that they could prepare their fish. We have some great rubs for fish. We have a new rub, a cinnamon chipotle rub is fantastic for fish. The rub on the fish, it's good also as a blacking agent, and it is really a good balance of flavors. It brings out the fish taste itself, and we also have another one. It's actually a steak and burger, but it is also good on fish. And we also have a balsamic vinegar base barbecue sauce that is outstanding on any fish that you want to put it on, brush it on, and you can either bake it in the oven or cook it on the grill or whatever.
Wow.
Okay, I kind of want to go back to basics, okay? Let's say I've filleted the fish. I have a nice fillet sitting there. Let's pick a fish. What's real popular right now is trout. Big trout in the bays, easy to get a hold of, easy fish to catch, easy fish to clean. What's my next step with a rub? What do I do?
Well, I would take the fish and make sure it's dried, pat it dry. Then I would sprinkle the rub on the fish, and then I would either cook it on the grill or you can cook it in the oven or cook it on top of the stove, either one. But you don't want to put too much on it. You want to make sure that you've got enough to cover it and put it down side with the rub and cook it. A trout, for instance, you'd probably cook it for 3 to 4 minutes, then turn it over and sprinkle more rub on it, and let it cook. And when it's finished, of course, serve it.
Nice. So it's not like if I'm cooking steak, I usually put a rub on it and I'll let it sit to, as we call it, marinate. You don't do that with the fish?
Yeah, you could just sprinkle it on the fish. You don't need to marinate it at all. And like a steak, you'd want to, stuff it down into the steak itself and let it set before you cook it. But this, you don't have to do that.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice, right? You're ready to go, man. I'm ready to eat this fish. So the rub, as you refer to it, is it? I'm ignorant about this. Is it a liquid or is it a powder or what?
No, it's a powder, a mixture of different seasonings.
And so you sprinkle it on there like you would sprinkle herbs or whatever, right?
Right.
And then you can go right to cooking.
That's correct.
Sweet. Like that.
And like I stated from the beginning, the cinnamon chipotle is amazing.
So we know that
you've got the heat and the sweetness on the
chipotle. It's a good balance of flavors. It does not a lot of heat in it at all. The balance of flavor just brings everything together.
Nice.
I'm having a hard concept of the sweet on a fish, but it does sound interesting.
Well, it is interesting, and I'll tell you, we didn't even think this product was going to be a good product for us when we put it on the market 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago. But it is our number one seller now. It is amazing, as I stated.
So if somebody wants to get this product from you, Ken, how do they do that? What do they do?
They can go to our website at southernpridegourmetfoods.com, or they can call me directly at 772-932-4434.
Made in USA?
Oh, yes. Everything we have is made in the USA. We don't sell anything that's not made in the USA.
Family owned?
Yes.
Small company?
Yes.
There you go, friends. These are the kind of things I advocate. I'm a small business owner, so I know how difficult it is to stay in business. And I know how hard it is to try to get the word out there that you've got something that would really be beneficial to people. And so I do what I can to help promote that. And I appreciate you taking the time to call in. It's the time of season where people are eating. I'm just kind of being facetious here. People are eating a lot of turkey. Have you got anything for turkey?
Well, actually, the same thing you could use for turkey.
Oh, really?
I have Thanksgiving. I actually put that on sliced turkey, and it worked very well. And we also have what's really interesting here. We also have a barbecue rub that is good on turkey.
Oh.
So I kind of think outside the box all the time. We get too wrapped up and we're doing the same thing each time. And I've tested all this stuff out for whatever we do with each product. But I love to think outside the box and do some things that brings out taste.
Well, I like the idea that it's a small company. I like the idea that it's family owned. I like the idea that it's made in the USA. I like the idea that is going around the country, that it's time that we start thinking about ourselves. And one of the ways that we can do that is to help support small businesses, especially if they're based here and all of the stuff that they do is based here in the United States. You're actually helping them, but in reality, you're helping all of us. And that's when we get to a position where everybody benefits. That's the kind of thing that I try to promote. And that's really what happens when you're dealing with a small company. That's really what happens. You are basically part of their family because they recognize each customer individually is part of the sales that they have, which allows them to be who they are. You don't have that kind of relationship with these large corporations. Sadly, it was at one time many, many years ago, but that's no longer true. And if you think I'm exaggerating, call one of them. Call AT&T, call Comcast, and see how long you wait before somebody comes on and helps you with your problem. Call a small company and see how long you wait. I would venture to say it would be seconds versus, I don't know how many minutes, possibly into 40 or maybe even more minutes before you get help with the other people. So these are the reasons why I support small business, and I ask other people to support small businesses. We all benefit. In the long run, we all benefit. Data exists that shows when we spend money on small businesses in the local area, much of that money retains back in the local area. Much of the money, up to upwards of 60 cents of every dollar, stays in the area. We're helping ourselves. We're helping each other, and at the same time benefit. You benefit from the product that they offer. They benefit from the sale that you purchase, and we both benefit in this relationship. Those are the kind of things that I would like to see more of here in the United States. We're very reliant on these very large corporations. They take advantage of us. I know that firsthand. They take advantage of us when they don't need to. We were just, before you came on, Ken, we were talking about thousands of dollars that people invest in the GPS units, and there's no way for them to track them. There's no way for them to remotely shut them down or any of that. And me coming from my background, knowing about manufacturing and electronics both, the jump wouldn't be very far. So again, these are very large corporations. They look at the bottom line. They look at the purchaser as a number, where a small business is going to look at the purchaser more of part of the family than they are a number, and they're going to be treated accordingly. I wish you well, Ken. I got to get some of your product. I want to try. Let me ask you. I want to try something for chicken. I know this is completely off, but we do eat a lot of chicken. Something for chicken. What would you suggest?
I would suggest, again, the cinnamon chipotle. It is amazing on chicken. What's
really?
good about it, it's good on everything.
Oh, okay. So that's almost
And
like
how do we reach you again? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You can go to the website, southernpridegourmetfoods.com, or you can call me directly at 772-932-4434, and I will answer the phone probably in the second or third ring. If not, I'll call you right back.
See, that's what I like about a small company. Those are the things. We need to bring that kind of mentality back, where the consumer is shown some responsibility by the manufacturer. Yes, no, I can't help you. Yes, I can help you. Within a matter of minutes, if he's not available immediately live on the phone. So that's the kind of stuff. Isn't that really a way to make it better for everybody, or am I exaggerating?
No, you're right on the money.
Any parting words from you, Miss Pam, before we let Ken go?
I'm still trying to figure, or I'm thinking of all the different recipes that I'm using that cinnamon chipotle seasoning. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm hungry. That sounds great.
That's good. But I do have one other thing for you.
Yes, sir.
The last time I talked to you, you told me to give you a good recipe for monkfish.
Yeah.
I do have it. If
Excellent.
you want me to send it to you, I'll be happy to send it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you, do you get on Facebook?
Yes.
If you could list it on Facebook, we'll allow you to post it on Facebook, and I'll get that copied and sent over to Pam.
Okay, that would be great.
Or you can text it to her if you want to do that. I'll give you the number. I'll text you her number, and you can text it to her if you like.
Yeah, okay, or I can put it either way you want me to do it.
I like put it up on the Facebook so all our listeners can enjoy that recipe as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
you
that'd be
put it
nice.
on your Facebook, correct?
Yeah, on the Fish Florida Show.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay, I will put it up there for you. It may not be today, but I will get it. I am doing gift baskets today, so
Well,
I got a few more to make.
I greatly appreciate it, Ken, and a Merry Christmas to you, sir, and a Happy Holiday if you don't celebrate Christmas, whatever holiday you may celebrate. And thank you again.
I celebrate them all,
Hot
which is
dog.
good.
Well, thank you for taking the time to call in. Greatly appreciate it, and I wish you a wonderful day.
Hey, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir.
Merry Christmas.
That is, ladies and gentlemen, it's Ken Coe. You can reach him at 772-932-4434. The company is Southern Pride Gourmet Foods. You can find them online, Southern Pride Gourmet Foods. Got just a couple of minutes left. Miss Pam, thank you so very much. I can't believe that we're looking at Christmas 2018. It has been a delight having you on and with all of your assistance during this time.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. I enjoy the show so much.
I can't believe we're ending, less than a week now, or just maybe a little over a week. It's going to be another year.
That's right. Oh, I've already started my schedule. One of the things is Panama this year. I will be kayak fishing through fishing villages in Panama, and I look really, I'll keep you updated on that. I'm pretty excited about it.
When do you think that's going to happen?
That'll be the end of April. The end of April, the first week of May.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it is that time. I hate the part. We've had so much fun, and again, I've learned. I always learn on my show. So thank you so much to all of you who have contributed. Thank you to you listeners. Pam, thank you. Wish you a wonderful day. We'll be back in a week, ladies and gentlemen. Merry Christmas.
Sightline.
Just call me a grouper.